Boy, am I excited today. I've been trying to get this review out for weeks. I have had in my hands the HP Spectre x360 16-inch, latest and greatest, for almost 6 or 7 weeks at this point. We've just had so much gear coming through the studio, and I'm only human, people. I can only do so much. And I had to churn out some other stuff first. And so if you hit that subscribe button and help me out, I can get the channel bigger and I can hire me another editor and I can do this even quicker and faster to help you when you want to buy gear. So do it. I'll wait. It's okay. Awesome. Thank you. You're amazing. You're a rock star. Let's carry on talking about this. HP came out of nowhere, didn't make a huge fanfare or anything. They took the x360, which is their 2-in-1, that's what they call it, you know, the flip around screen, and they bumped it up in size to 16 inches. They have a 14 that's really a 13.5 inch, and they call it a 14, not really sure why, but it's been a very popular laptop in the last 12 to 18 months. So it would make sense that they thought they would stretch it and hit the 16 inch that Apple has now hit with the MacBook Pros, and some other manufacturers. LG has a 16-inch gram. Seems like everybody wants to stretch the screen up to 16-inch, except for Mr. Dell. And I've got a review coming out on the new 2022 Dell XPS 15 in just a couple weeks or so. It's on its way. As soon as I get my hands on it, I'm going to be playing with that one. But they kept that one at 15-inch. And then they have the 17. I think in the mainstream manufacturers, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you don't mind to do it, but I think in the mainstream, Dell's pretty much the only big boy left with a 15, 17. Everyone else has kind of settled on this 13-ish to 14 range and then 16 for the big. Yeah, take your choices. This is the blue, and I'm going to read you through the specs of the machine I got because I got my hands on the first one that I could get, and it's not the fully spec'd out one. So I have been playing around with a 3K touchscreen, beautiful high gloss, looks great. It's the Intel Evo platform. This is the i7. It is 11th gen i7. I know the 12th gens are out, and my new Dell is going to be a 12th gen. They just weren't out in time for this, and so we got stuck with 11th gen. It is a H series processor. Don't want to get too technical, but the H series has a little bit more meat to it. The U series in Intel's world is like the ultrabook type chip. And in the 12th gens now, we've got a P series. It's kind of in between. So you can go learn more about that if you want. I've got 16 gig of RAM. This has got the Intel Iris graphics. It is available with an NVIDIA GeForce. I didn't get that model. I just couldn't get my hands on it fast enough. It was a custom build. It was like an 8-week delivery time, but it is available. And then you've got the usual things you would expect. HP fast charge, webcam that follows where you go. You know, they call it center stage on Apple. They call it auto tracking on something else. It's all the same. Everybody's doing it. I don't like them personally. Just give me my webcam where I want it and I'm good. But I understand for folks who are moving around a lot, that can be helpful. One of the great things about this, actually two of the great things about this, fast charge. This sucker charges fast. I sat down in the studio today to record, and I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm at. So I'm on 70% in the battery. I sat down in the studio about 40 minutes ago to start recording another device first, plugged it in at 6%. So in less than an hour, I've gone from 6 to 70. So basically a 30-minute charge is going to get you some juice that's going to last you for hours, and a little over an hour or so, you're going to be fully charged. The battery, while we're talking about this, has been surprisingly good. I've learned this about Windows, and I want to encourage y'all, when you get a new Windows machine, don't panic in week one. It does what it does in the background and it just burns through battery. But once week one has kind of settled over, depending on how much you use it, might be slightly longer than week one, so don't hold me to it, but 1 to 2 weeks, you will find your machine settles down and actually works pretty well. Considering I'm running a 16-inch 3K screen that looks glorious, I can work on this pretty much for a full day. I'm not saying 8 hours solid, but one of my days is typically on and off a device, on it more than off it, and probably a good solid 6 to 7 hours on any given day when I'm really working. I can pretty much make it on this, which for a big Windows machine is pretty good going. Yes, it's not MacBook Pro level, okay, but other than that, it's very impressive. Second thing that I was shouting and raving about just a second ago, Not only has it got Wi-Fi 6, it's got Wi-Fi 6E, the new implementation of Wi-Fi 6 is even better. And you're probably thinking, hang on, Mike, I don't even have a Wi-Fi 6 router in the house. Well, that's your problem, not mine, okay? This is the latest and greatest. And it just so happens that we at Mike Drops Tech have got the new Aero Pro Wi-Fi 6E mesh network being delivered tomorrow, according to my tracking. So we're going to be checking it out. I'm going to be replacing the Wi-Fi here at the studio with that, and we're going to give it a run for its money. We've been running on Netgear Orbis for the last year, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on those in that review, so stay tuned for that. If you subscribe, you won't miss it when I drop it. That's the beauty of subscribing and hitting the notification bell. I know, it's crazy, but it works, so do it. Keyboards, keyboards, keyboards. I am not a fan of HP's keyboard. Look, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it's a good keyboard. The spacing's nice. I wish the keys were just a touch bigger. It works. They don't do anything crazy. The number keys are where they're supposed to be. The arrow keys are where they're supposed to be. Like, on paper, it all makes sense. But HP seems to like a very firm key press with just a solid stop, period. And if you like that, you're gonna love this keyboard because they do it really well. I just personally like a little bit of sponge at the end of that travel. If you've watched any of my laptop reviews, you probably know Surface keyboards are some of my favorites. You press them, they feel solid, but then they've got this little squish. It's just like a little thank you at the end, you know, and it just softens the blow. And for me and my delicate fingers, I want to look after them because I type so much that I want them to last me for many, many more years to come. But anyway, it's a solid keyboard, just not my favorite, definitely not bad by any stretch. Trackpad's also nice and large, it works pretty well. I have had a few hiccups with the trackpad. Every now and again, I'll be moving around on it and all of a sudden it won't drop the window and let go of it and it'll drag it across the screen. I'm not sure why, there's probably a setting in there that I could play with. I just haven't goofed around and got to it, but I don't typically have that problem. I am quite light in my touch, and so I'm light in my movement as well, but it feels like a solid trackpad. 5 megapixel camera, so not too shabby, nothing spectacular, but definitely not too shabby. Intel Optane memory in there to speed up a little bit of data transfer on the internals. And then we get to a couple of interesting things. Now, when you buy an Apple device, you accept you're gonna have to buy everything else separately. Keyboard, pen, mouse, all that fun stuff. Sometimes when you buy a Microsoft device, you can get bundles where you get the keyboard and the pen bundled in with the Surface Pro. But officially, it was made and marketed as a standalone device. Then you get folks like Samsung, who you order a new Galaxy Tab S8 pre-order and we're gonna give you the keyboard, you know, and the pen's gonna come in the box. Or you buy the S22 Ultra and the pen's in the phone, it's not something extra you have to buy. HP have interestingly gone the Samsung route and done the same thing. So in the box, I was pleasantly surprised to find their pen so that you can use the touchscreen and it feels okay. Does it feel like an Apple Pencil? No. Is it $129? No. Does it feel super lightweight? Yes. Are you probably going to lose it? Probably. Just be warned. You heard it here first. But I like the fact that they gave it with the computer in the box because I think an average person probably isn't going to go buy a $100 pen, but if you give an average person a pen, they might goof off and play around with it, and they might find that they can do some things they didn't know they could do. And I really like that approach because it tells me you are thinking about the customer first. You're thinking about the end user and how to make their experience the best. And rather than limiting the experience and forcing them to choose, you're removing that friction and you're making the choice for them, saying, hey, here you go. Go play. Go use our device the way we wanted it to be used. Go check it out. Go flip that screen all the way around and go right on that bad boy and do something with it. And I think even for Microsoft, that's where they're missing a beat. The Surface Laptop 4, you know it was a device that I really liked. It folds down pretty flat with the screen, but there's no pen. So many users are going to have this functionality and never take advantage of it because they didn't realize they had to go buy something separate and then they can never be bothered or they don't want to spend the money or they don't think they're going to use it. By doing this, you've given me the chance to find a new creative side that I might not know that I had. Something else that was in the box that was really a nice surprise. I'm sure it's not genuine leather. I'm sure it's like a fake leather, pleather, bonded leather, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't smell like it. But hey, you got a laptop sleeve in the box for free with the Spectre. Thank you, Mr. HP. I like the touch, okay? Are you going to use it? I don't know. But it's probably not a bad idea to put it inside something, and it saved me having to go on Amazon and try and figure out what's the right size, what's going to fit, spend another 30 bucks, hope that it's nice when it arrives. I like it. I wish more manufacturers would include things. Stop taking stuff out of the box and put some more things in the box. $16.99, folks. It's not like it was $50, okay? They can afford to do it, and it's a nice touch. So, few nice goodies there inside the box to play with. And the final spec I haven't mentioned, this one's got a 512 SSD, but now I'm going to show you something. Let's look at HP's website and let's customize one of these and make a few changes. And what you will see are some very affordable upgrades. It's one of the things I love about the Windows world, and it's a challenge in the Apple world. I'm just being honest with you. The price of upgrades. A lot of us need a specific thing. I just spec'd out a couple of Dell XPSs because we're going to test the i5 and the i7. And I'm probably going to keep one as a daily driver because XPS is one of the devices that I really like and I've enjoyed using over and over again. I like the ability to choose a lower chip, like an i5, and then add in a little bit of extra memory because I don't want 8 gig. I might want 16 or 32. And I like that flexibility to choose. It's hard to do that, you know, with some manufacturers whose upgrade prices are just astronomical. HP, Dell, very affordable. You're never going to get a manufacturer to upgrade something at component cost, but these are reasonable for the manufacturer to make that change for you, to deliver it, spec'd out the way you want it, and I think very welcome because we've all got different needs, and I think being able to get the device exactly how we need it is important. If you don't need a lot of processing power, i5s are going to be just fine, but the extra memory from 8 to 16 is going to make a huge amount of difference in daily use. And if you do want some extra headroom from system RAM, getting from 16 to 32 shouldn't be a $600, $700, $800 upgrade. It should be a little bit more reasonable than that when you think that we have been at the 8 gig, 256 gig standard for literally years. I remember computers, and every time they came out, it doubled. So I remember 1 megabyte RAM. And then the next year when the new one came out, it was 2 megabytes of RAM, and then it was 4 megabytes of RAM, and it was 8 megabytes, and 16, and 32, 64, all the way up. And then for some reason, we got to 8 gig 64, no. We got to 8 gig 256 gig, and everybody just stopped. And it's like, okay, we'll just stay here, you know? 2010, I'm knocking at your door, baby. Like, let's just stay with it. How long are we gonna stay? 8 gig's not enough anymore. I like 16, so now I've got it, thank you very much. I'll get off my soapbox. So what's it been like to use? That's what you really want to know. Would you want this as a daily driver? Look, if you are buying a 16-inch laptop, I need you to understand something. A 16-inch laptop is not a laptop. They're lying to you. I want anybody to balance one of these things on a leg, on the couch for any meaningful amount of time and tell me it is not an unwieldy beast. I like to work non-traditionally. I have a comfy armchair that I like to work in. I like to sit on the couch. I'll usually cross my legs. So more often than not, the laptop isn't even sitting on 2 legs, it's sitting on 1. And it's 16 inches. Yeah, there's a little bit of rock and roll there, baby. And it's gonna happen depending on which side of the keyboard I'm working on, okay? It is a big boy. As a desktop notebook, almost a workstation replacement, 16 inches great. If you need that big screen size, you want the real estate, man, you can work on this all day long on your desk, on your lap, on the go, portability wise. Unless you absolutely have to have the larger screen, I would strongly recommend, again, go down to Best Buy or whatever computer store you've got nearby, check them out, look at them. Just remember, in those kind of stores, the screens look smaller than they do when you get them home and you've got them on your lap. So that 14-inch might be a sweet spot. Actually, personally, if I was a computer manufacturer, I think Microsoft have gone in the right direction at 14.4. I think that's a really interesting sweet spot for the smaller screen size, you know, the 13.5 to 14, where it's just big enough, but it's still small enough. And I think Dell have played an interesting card, sticking with the 1517 instead of merging the two and going 16. Because really, if you are looking at this as a 16-inch desktop replacement or workstation replacement for on the go, I would wonder why you aren't looking at the Dell XPS 17 and getting that extra inch of size with the ultra thin bezels. These bezels are a little bit thicker, so physically the dimensions of this are not dissimilar to an XPS 17. You're going to get more customization, you're going to be able to spec it out higher, and yes, it's going to cost a little bit more, but I think if you're in that class of person who wants that kind of workstation replacement monster, that's probably the machine that's going to serve you better. So it leaves us in a little bit of interesting limbo land. Is the 13.5 going to be enough from HP? Or do you have to jump all the way to 16? Only you can make that decision. I wish they made a 14 or a 14.3, 14.4. If they did, I think that would be the sweet spot and the one that I would go with. As for the x360 16, it's been a great device to use. It's done everything I wanted it to do. The battery life's been pretty decent, and I have no issue recommending this if you need the monstrous screen size and you can balance it on your lap. Hope you enjoy it. Stick around. I've got another video dropping where I'm going to do a quick comparison with this and a MacBook Pro 16 just so that you can see the difference between the two. Till next time, let's go out there and be amazing.